Welcome to L&D episode 3. We are the Learning Nerds. This is the Learning Nerds Download. I'm Noah. This is my partner in crime, Walker. We are in the L&D world, and we have been looking at different learning products and seeing what we can learn from them. But this one's a little different. Walker sent me an article the other day, and we thought we would talk about it. It's an article comparing AI feedback to human feedback. And it's a meta-analysis. Those are the only kind of analyses I like to look at, where it studied 41 different studies to see what we could learn from all of these studies. It was looking at the efficacy of this feedback, so the performance, the student perception of the feedback, motivation of the students and their level of engagement, and drumroll, it was inconclusive. They're basically the same. I think the way they said it is, we could not find a statistical difference in outcomes. They did end with seeing that a small number of examples of hybrid feedback were very promising. So, what do you think, Walker?
Yeah, so I thought the thing that I learned most from this article is just how fast this field is moving. Things are moving so quickly that in this article, only 3, I believe, of the 41 studies were actually about generative AI. The rest were about sort of more familiar AI technologies like deep learning and machine learning and their use in things like grammar check. So if I were to write a headline for this on LinkedIn that would be super compelling, it would be that AI grammar check is probably okay. Right? Like that's kind of what the study found. Yeah, probably, right? Because it's statistically insignificant, actually. So, like, we're not sure.
Yeah.
But it seems fine, is kind of what the study said. And a lot of that was driven by the fact that there was so much difference within teacher-provided feedback or human-provided feedback and within different sets of AI-provided feedback that then the differences between them kind of vanish in the math, right? There's so much variability in the quality depending on who the person is or what the approach is. That you can't say anything definitive about which one's better across more cases.
I agree. I thought the example of that was most interesting was how within human feedback, they did peer feedback versus teacher feedback, and it turns out that teacher feedback is a lot better, which makes sense because teachers know how to give feedback. I love doing peer-to-peer feedback, and it made me realize more clearly that you get more out of giving the feedback as a peer than getting it. Anyway, totally agree. I think this is a big it depends kind of thing. It depends on what topic you're teaching. Is this very discreet, very tactical, or is this something complicated like being a good manager or good communication? It's really going to depend. Depends on who your audience is, also cultural norms, things like that. The scope of the work, the breadth and the scale, how many people, is it worth doing? So, pretty interesting, but not groundbreaking. Walker, what study do you want to see?
Yeah, so I think this is an incredibly exciting time to be studying AI. If I were to choose a career in research, educational AI is what I would choose right now if I were starting my career journey. And you can look at this. This paper was published 6 days ago, and we're already talking about how it's outdated. So both the fact that it only had 3 generative AI example papers included, and the fact that it focused exclusively on English and language learning like grammar just shows the enormous size of the unknown that's out there to explore right now in terms of generative AI's effectiveness for feedback in particular, but also for education in general.
If I were to follow you into the world of academia, I'd like to dig into their section on people's perception of the feedback. I thought that was interesting. There was a quote we can put up, and it said this sort of obvious sentence: effective feedback should not only be passively received, but also acted upon. Yes, we want things to actually change. But the researchers talked about perception being really important. Do you think it was clear, useful? Do you agree with it? And I'm not sure if that's what makes feedback turn into behavior change. I think it's more about the package of the learning program that does that. I think the feedback can just sort of be good enough, frankly. But if someone's motivated to make change, that's what's going to matter.
Yeah, and I think so. If you think about the 4 Kirkpatrick levels of reaction, learning, behavior, and results, this study really dug into reaction and learning, right? People's responses and their performance. The next 2 levels, does this have long-lasting behavior change for those folks? Does it actually apply to what they do in the future? And then does that generate results? Is that the right behavior change that we wanted in order to achieve some outcome? You know, this becomes especially important in, say, the corporate world where we're looking at return on investment and things like that. Are those behavior changes the right ones? So those next 2 levels are another area where there's just so much room out there to learn more about how useful AI can really be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like L&D projects always get to that wall of like, how are we going to really see if this works? Because we end up always just like doing all these surveys. Do you like it? I also have been thinking about, with AI coming on and being able to deliver content, how are we going to change what teachers do? And we often call ourselves facilitators, and I think we're really going to become facilitators now because we can use AI to do the like explanation, and now we're going to have to become experts in how to translate that into actual behavior change and actual results, actual ROI.
Yeah, it's the old guide on the side versus the sage on the stage. Just come back with more power, I think.
It must be true because it rhymes. Take a look at the study. If you have some different opinions, we'd love to hear about it. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.